Hello and welcome to Michelle Sews Again. I'm Michelle. Today I would like to share with you my point of view or my experience in sewing the Style Arc Hope dress. Not to be confused with the Fiber Mood Hope dress. And much to my surprise, as I was going through my patterns, because I knew I wanted to make the Style Arc Hope, I have both. And so when I pulled out that Fiber Mood one, I was like, this isn't what I thought it was. Anyway, not that it's a bad pattern, it's just not what I was looking for. I specifically wanted to do the raglan sleeves, and I really wanted to make it in a different fabric, but I didn't quite have enough of that fabric because these sleeves do take up a lot of fabric. Anyway, so if you follow me on Instagram, you'll know that I had a little bit of a struggle with this, and I'll get to that in a minute. Just a little. Most of it was quite easy. All right, so let me tell you a little bit about the pattern. As I said, it's from Style Arc. The description is that it's an easy fit. It slips on. If you make it as a dress, it's high-waisted. The skirt, there are two different length options. There's a knee length and a midi length. It does have the raglan sleeves that go pretty deep, and they have an elastic cuff. It does have a loop and button closure on the back, which is where I struggled. And I think that about describes it. Pretty decent description. All right, so then fabric suggestions are that for a washed linen, a rayon, a crepe, cotton, or you can even make it in knit if you wanted. I chose these two fabrics that were in my stash. I had been wanting to pair these together. Originally, I thought that I would do the Peppermint Magazine free everyday dress, and because I had seen somebody on YouTube that had done that dress with one fabric in the front and one in the back, and I thought it looked really cute, and I thought these would be good fabrics for that, but I actually didn't have enough of this one to do that. So I ended up using them for this, and you can laugh if you want. My husband and I both have laughed already. I feel like I look like a circus. It wasn't intended to be a costume. I thought it would be cute together. I'm not sure how I feel about it. Anyway, all right, so it comes in sizes 4 to 30. I assume those are Australian sizes because Style Arc is an Australian pattern company. I thought it's very interesting when you look at the size section on the instruction booklet. It gives you more than the usual. It gives you shoulder breadth and upper arm girth in addition to bust, waist, and hip. So that wasn't necessary for, well, shoulder girth I guess is important if you have really wide shoulders, but even if you have larger arms like I do, I don't think the arm girth was really relevant for this particular pattern because there's quite a lot of room in there. All right, so it goes up to size 30. I'm just gonna give the measurements for the largest size. Bust 58¼ inch, waist 50½ inch, and hips 61 inches. I ended up making the size 24, which coordinated with my measurements. Hang on, let me see, a size 24, size 24 is a 51.2 bust, a 44.5 waist, and a 53.5 hip. So it's not exactly my measurements. The bust is super close. I'm 51½ versus the 51.2. My waist is a little bit bigger than this, so it's not as roomy as the design was intended, but there is positive ease, so it worked out fine. And my hips are 53 versus the 53.5. So if you're making the dress, I don't think the waist and the hips matter that much. Maybe the waist does, depending on where that the end of the top hits you. But the hips, it's a a tiered gathered, not tiered, it's a gathered skirt and it's pretty full. So I don't think the hip measurement is gonna necessarily be that important. It will be, I guess, if you'd need to look at the finished garment. The only adjustment that I made to this was I made it as a top instead of a dress. So as I was tracing out the pattern, because that was my pledge for Me Made May, was to trace on my patterns, which I did for the whole month. And I'll talk about that in another video, but I traced out the pattern and I knew I wanted to make it as a top and not a dress, at least this go round. I'll probably want that as a dress eventually, but I don't need it right now. Anyway, so I just extended the edge of the bodice on both the front and the back piece pretty significantly, because the top is intended to be pretty short and the skirt starts like mid stomach, and I like my tops to hit me like at the around my hip area so that it covers my belly. So I extended it, I can't even remember how many inches, but I extended it far enough, and I just went straight down the side. So I didn't do any kind of like A-line, which in hindsight, I don't know, maybe that would have been better. Not in this fabric though, because it would have just stuck out like a tent. So I ultimately I'm happy with how this fits. So I think the way that I did it is fine. In a different fabric, maybe I would approach it a different way. I don't know. I definitely like the way this fits. At first I wasn't sure. I felt like it was too tight. But the more I wear it, the more I like move around in it, I feel like it's fitting me the right way. So I think I picked the right size. The construction of this was super easy. You know, I mean, a raglan sleeve is always going to be pretty easy to put together, even for a beginner. And then it's just, you know, shoulder seams, side seams, and there is a facing. And for a woven fabric, facings aren't usually troublesome. Sorry, look at how horrible my manicure has gotten. I have an appointment on Saturday. It'll be fixed. Anyway, it's the back that has an opening with the loop and button closure. The loop and button didn't give me any trouble. It was just the back facing where it opens. It's the same problem I had with the Valley dress that did that in the front. And I had trouble with the bottom of that V. So I figured, I posted it on Instagram, and I mean, I gotta tell you, the sewing community on Instagram and here on YouTube is just fantastic. I had people like chiming in right away, and I think ultimately what I had done wrong was I stitched too far down past the opening, and that was one of two problems. So I unpicked it. I put the pin in because I didn't put the pin in like the instructions called for the first time around, and I stopped at the pin on both sides, and that did the majority of the fix. Then what I realized after I turned it back inside out and whatever and chopped out some of the bulk, I realized that I did a different seam allowance on the opening seam as I did on the back center seam. So they weren't lining up, which was causing that bulk. So that ended up, I have like a little mini pleat in the back. I left it. I'll show a picture. I'm calling it a design choice, as Andra likes to say, from Andra Makes. If you don't watch her, she's a hoot. You should go watch her. So I'm calling that a design choice because it's not egregious, not like it was originally, which was I couldn't have worn it. But that's definitely a technique I need to continue to practice. But I ultimately, I think I know what I did wrong. So I think I know how to fix it for next time. But all in all, this was a really easy sew. Like I said, other than that back facing, which was completely user error. The instructions for Style Arc surprisingly were pretty good. The only thing that I don't like, and maybe it's the way that I send the pattern to the printer, is the pattern had both the cutting line and the stitching line printed. So when you've got all these sizes overlaying each other, it's just double the lines, and it made it a little bit difficult since I wasn't sewing the biggest size and I wasn't sewing the smallest size, trying to figure out what line in the middle, because the cutting line for all the sizes was a straight line. There was nothing differentiating the cutting line for the sizes. What was differentiated with the different, SOS Morse code lines was the seam allowance line, and you're not cutting on that. So that made it a little bit difficult to cut the pattern out. And like I said, I need to look and see if there's an option on my AO pattern when I submit it to PDF plotting to print it out a different way. Because I didn't care for that. And I have several Style Arc patterns in my collection because I had, and of course I got a lot of them printed already. They had a sale last month in April around Easter time, and they were 20% off, and I did a haul on that. I'll link that video below. But yeah, so that's basically it. That's my take on the Hope dress as a top. I'll insert a little video here so you can see how it looks on me in my apple shape. And yeah, I definitely am gonna make this again. I love the sleeves. If I make it again, as much as I would want to practice the back facing, you don't need it. You don't need the loop and button to get this over your head. The opening for the neckline is big enough to get over your head. So the next time I make it, I'm just gonna seam it up the back and not even bother struggling with that. So that would be my only advice. So yeah, that's about it for the Style Arc Hope dress as a top. I'll definitely be making this again. I'll make probably another top because it's a great opportunity for color blocking, which I love. And I really think it'll be a cute dress. So I'll make that, I don't know when, but I will. And the only other thing I wanted to say is I just finished watching Sarah from Naughty Gnome. If you're not watching her, you should. She's adorable. She makes really cute clothes, and she does a really good description of reviews of the patterns and struggles that she had or successes that she's had. So I definitely recommend watching her. I thought it was super sweet. In one of her Friday sews recently, she gave me a shout out for my channel, which I thought was super sweet. I was like, whenever I watch other YouTubers, I watch it on my TV, and then I have my phone or my laptop to type responses because I can't type the responses on my TV. And usually I have that open and I'm typing my responses as I'm watching the video. So that I don't forget to comment on something that I found interesting. And so I had written several notes already, and then she got to the end and gave me the shout out, and I was just like, oh my gosh, that's so sweet. Anyway, she just posted a video on her June plans, and within her video, she mentioned that she's basically making a commitment not to buy any patterns or any fabric for the month of June. I am so in for that challenge because I spent a lot of money on both patterns, more so fabric. I've done 2 pretty big fabric hauls just in the month of May. So I have more than enough patterns. I've got more than enough fabric. So I'm calling it a no buy June, but I don't have a deep stash of notions and things like that. So I might have to pick up the odd button or zipper, or not that I've done zippers yet, but I might. So I might need to pick up some notions, but no fabric, no patterns, entire month of June. Sounds good to me. I'm in, Sarah. All right, that's it for me. I hope everybody's having a great day. I hope the weather's beautiful where you are, and I hope you're getting some sewing in. Talk to you soon. Bye.